Okay, so here we are, part 2 of how to build a container home or a house or a project, and this is step number 2. Step number 2, it's very crucial. We're gonna call the step number 2 fantasy land. Fantasy land. Now, we have this presupposition that you by yourself decided to build a home. But a home is something that you share with other people. So in fantasy land, you have to decide who you will share your home for a container house project. That may be your wife, that may be your kids, that may be your entire family. So in the second stage of your project, let's call it fantasy land, remember this, that the fantasy is only in your own head. It does not include your wife, it does not include your kids, it does not include the construction company that you have to hire, nor the designers, nor the architects, nor anybody. This is fantasy land in your head, only in your head. And we was just discussing here how difficult it is to put two people together, how to put two people together, let alone 10 people or 20 or 30 or 50. It's so difficult even to put your wife on the stage, let alone the designer who is probably in another country or in another town, or the architect who lives a couple of blocks away from you, or maybe he's on the other side of the world. So fantasy land is very important. Now I do have suggestions. Once you go in the fantasy land, that means that you're going to fantasize how your house will look like, where it will be, what is the surrounding, how the trees will be around, or how the landscape. This is all fantasy land. Now, practical tip number 1. I'm right now, today, October 5th, 2020, I'm in this stage, Fantasyland. I have been in this stage of Fantasyland for quite the last 6 months. Actually, because I was in a Fantasyland, I actually parted with a couple of $1,000 and I bought containers already, just because I'm in Fantasyland. Who is responsible for my Fantasyland? This person here. She said, yeah, it's a cool idea, yeah. She was supportive for a few seconds, and then I went in more in Fantasyland. Now, there are benefits of being in Fantasyland. It doesn't cost money. You can fantasize all day long, all night long. You can have it in your dreams. You can have pictures. Sometimes you can wake up and you can frantically go on the piece of paper and draw your ideas. Now, there are a few dangers when you are in Fantasyland. Danger number 1. You keep living in Fantasyland forever. That's not good. So you have to do something physical. And one practical tip here is to have a drawing. That means your fantasy should be exported on a physical world, some kind of medium, maybe a computer project, maybe just a simple drawing, maybe something, whatever it is, but it has to be physical. For example, I will give you this idea that I learned from my mentor, and it's a conversation between him and his mentor, and his mentor is telling him, hey, do you have some goals or plan in life? And the guy say, yes, I have it. And his mentor tells him, yeah, show it to me. Where is it? Is it in your car? Is it in the drawer? He say, no, it's here. And then his mentor say, you know what? You have nothing. You are just in a fantasy land. So now, to avoid this problem, you have to do some action. You have to part with some money. You have to spend on a notebook, on a pen. Or, like me, well, there it is. There it is. I parted with some money. I went in the internet and I bought the 2 containers, and the reality is that these containers are just models, and I will explain to you the idea behind these little models. So now These are two containers. First of all, these are small ones, but when I ordered them, I thought that they're like this size. Because why I bought them? Because I wanted already to show my commitment to my project. Not only I bought the physical containers, like big 40 feet containers, I bought them, but I also, because I may buy them and they may stay there in the, whenever I bought them forever. So my idea will never materialize. So I went in internet and I found a bunch of companies and I bought these models. So now, my idea was something like this. This is just an idea or just an idea for a project. I say I'm gonna buy 8 of these or 20 of these, but not this size. I wanted the bigger size. But this is what they came. They came from China. I was waiting for them for how long?
It's like 4 months, if not more.
4 months, yeah, 4 months, but it came to fruition. So now, my idea was very simple. To get 12 of these and to play with them, to cut miniature windows, to do something, and then to put them on poles or to start rearranging them in this way or in that way or in this way, so I can have something physical in my hands that I can present to my 3D designer guy or to the architect. Because, you know, when it comes to architecture, that's how people do stuff, not just on the computer. Because the computer is one thing, you can rotate with the 3D, you can go inside, but it's never physical. So this is a very good way. So my idea was very simple. I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna build my house like this on the table. I'm gonna rearrange it, I'm gonna be thinking, I'm gonna be playing like a little kid. Now, once you're in Fantasyland, it's very good to how you say, connect with the inner child. Stay connected to your inner child. That's where the creativity will come. So now this is what I was thinking. I'm gonna put these 12. My house will be from 8. I decided my container house will be from 8 containers minimum. And I will play with 8 of these models. Then I will finally decide how it will look like. I have an idea that mine will be like something like this in a very interesting shape. Okay, I cannot explain it to you because it's just in my head. You see how difficult it is? You don't get it, but I get it. It's in my head. But once I have the pieces, then I can put them together, and I decided to buy $100 scanner. This is a very interesting technology. It's a 3D scanner. It costs $100. You connect it to your cell phone, and you just go around and you scan your physical project. It works in reverse. You don't create it with the computer software. You have a physical object. It's something like this. Let's say this is your container house. Yeah, it's like this, right? And then you go with your phone, which is a connected scanner, like a little device for $100, and you do something like this around, and then it creates a file. And now this file, you send it to your 3D guy or to the architect, and then you tell them, hey, this is what I have in my fantasy land. Do you understand? Even if you don't have the skills to have a 3D computer or a designer or architect, at least you can do that. In a fantasy land mode, you can arrange, you can play. Now there is something magical in physical stuff, because once I put it, let's say I want my house to look like something like this or like this, and I go and then I talk to my partner, and I will tell you another danger when you build a house and when you are in a fantasy land mode. You can just simply ask your partner, hey, what do you think, like this or like this? And then you can gather more opinions.
Or someone will say, like this.
Okay, you see? So now, all of a sudden you see, instead of this, the partner said like this. So now you have different opinion. And you may think like, wow, that's kind of cool, yeah? Why not like this? And then we need more pieces, of course. We need 8 pieces. We cannot work 8 pieces container house with 2.
By the way, can you build a container house using just 2 containers?
Yes, you can build 1.
Even from 1, right?
Yeah, even from 1. 1 container will give you about 350 square feet, which is most of the apartments in New York.
Oh, just one?
Yeah,
is
one-
equivalent to
Yeah,
the
one
size of a
140
New York apartment?
140 foot container. It's about 10 feet by 40 feet. This is about 326 square feet clean space after you put the walls and everything. You know how I know these things? Because I spent like 500 hours watching and researching before even I go to the Fantasyland. I saw what other people do, which was in video number 1 step. So now you're in Fantasyland. It's going to be a very tough time for you, and for that you need other people. For example, your wife, your kids, your other people. And why you would need that? For their emotional support, you know, because when you're in Fantasyland, what usually will happen, people will think you are crazy. They're gonna say, this is a lunatic, he's just dreaming, you know. Go to a friend of yours and tell them your great idea, and guess what the first thing is gonna be? Bullshit, you know. That's the natural way of human beings. They would be like, it will be like 1 in 1,000 that will say, wow, great idea. And then will be 1 in 1,000,000 that will say, wow, great idea, let me work on that idea too. That's the reality, that's how it is. So now, when you get into a Fantasyland, you will need somebody to emotionally support you, because there will be downsides. You know, like for example, one of my personal experiences, just 2 days ago, they called me from the place that I bought the containers, and they said, hey, listen, your containers get to be removed from here. And that would cost me a couple of $1,000s, and I have to organize a company, I have to call a trucking company, I have to, you know, like there's a big problem in the building the container house, because you physically take ready structure and you just move it around. Let's say you buy it from Kansas and it has to go to New York, or you buy it from China and it has to come in America, or whatever you found it cheap. They don't sell them in the grocery stores, right? So that's a challenge. So in hard times like this, you will need somebody to emotionally support you. And when you're in Fantasyland, people don't want to support you emotionally, because they think usually you're crazy, you don't know what you're doing, you have no experience. But don't worry about that. So this is it. Step number 2: go in Fantasyland and try to do your best. And also get some physical stuff. It doesn't have to be this. Maybe it could be just a simple drawing. A simple drawing will do. But remember that if you keep it in your head, nobody will believe you and everybody will think you are crazy. But here is the thing. If you just put it on piece of paper, doesn't have to be even like this. If just on piece of paper and you present it to somebody, now they will understand you. They may even give you money. They may even lend you thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars. For example, how this works. If you have the drawing to a higher degree of complexity, you can go to the bank and say, hey, listen, I put a lot of work. I went from Fantasyland and I exported from Fantasyland on a piece of paper, and this is where the piping will go. This is where the electricity will run. This is where we're going to plant the trees on the... And now, when you put this in front of a banker, he will say, interesting, let me see the math. Is this going to make me money? On interest, of course. He will be looking, okay, if you buy containers for $2,000 each and you put something that costs like $100,000, the banker may think, this guy did a substantial work. He has a project. It's not just a fantasy in his head. So that's it. Tell them subscribe.
Please subscribe.
So you're like a robot. Tell them again.
Thank you very much for watching this video. Please subscribe to this beautiful channel.
And build a container house, please.
Yes, if you're dreaming to build a house, just start.
So let's refine. Step number 1: go to YouTube and spend 500 hours minimum to see what other people do. A good source is Shelter Mode, a YouTube channel dedicated to the people that are into container home projects. Okay. Step number 2: go in Fantasyland, fantasize, dream about it, and after all, do something physical. And that's it. And step number 3, subscribe to the channel. That's it. All right.